facts fair on the table to answer the points and the misguided thinking of Lynn Palais. She says the decision about whether somebody getting a hearing aid or not should be made solely by the hearing company that's providing the aid. Well, little wonder, Ms Palais, that during your term in government, ACC's claim costs over the last 3 years grew by $1.4 billion. If you say that the decision's going to be made to protect that the person who's installing the hearing aid doesn't have any interest, is about as naive as the foolish decision your government made that even your own ACC spokesperson says was a mistake, and that was to provide for free physiotherapy. The reality is that claim costs are out of control because of the loose, woolly thinking of the likes of that we've just seen from Lynn Palais. I want to ask a very simple answer to the second question. She says, why should ACC apply? Well, I can't answer the questions if Marianne Street's going to continuously shout me down. They challenge me to get to my feet and answer the questions. Well, I will. I'm going to answer Lynn Palais very clearly. Oh, well, Lynn Palais says, why does this bill define full-time work or the point where a person can be exited at 30 hours? Well, very simple answer. When Labor was in government, they said 30 hours a week was full-time according to the Department of Statistics. They said 30 hours a week for their 9 years in government was appropriate for inland revenue. They said 30 hours a week was appropriate for WINS, for those people that are on sickness and invalids benefit. And if you can't work out where the answer is, Lynn Palais, you have to answer the question as to why in all those three other areas, or is it, and if the Labour's policy is this, we'd be delighted to know, is it Labor policy that it now be 35 hours for IRD, for WINS, and for statistics? No. Oh, it's not? Oh, well, then I challenge Labor to get on their feet and to explain why, when one government agency says to a person, hey, look, 30 hours is full-time, but explain to the next person, well, actually, no, it's not. This government is being quite consistent. The last point I thought was deeply ironic. They challenged me for not having the courage to face up to a protest. I have to say to you, I think I've probably faced the biggest protest in Parliament. The last big one I really remember was the Hikoi. Remember that? Did Helen Clark front the Hikoi, Lynn Palais? She did not. She did not. And Darren Hughes can't rewrite history. And for them, now that they had a little gathering. They had a little gathering last week. Apparently, my staff in my office, my staff, the Hikoi in respect to the foreshore and seabird, the biggest protest during Helen Clark's government, she did not front. Now, they had a little protest last week. Do you know, I said to my press sec, look, have a look and see how many people there. He came back and he said to me, there are more Labor caucus members than what there were at the protest last week. It was a feeble effort that all the journalists said was deeply disappointing. The last point I want to make is this. Darren Hughes made an interjection that when Marianne Street signed her signed books declaring a $2.4 billion loss for the 7-8 full year in which she was minister, he said, that was just because of the loss of investments. Well, let me put the record straight. Of the $2.4 billion that were lost, 2,400 million, in the 7-8 year, what portion of that was due to investment losses? Do you know what the answer is? 1 million. 1 million out of the $2,400 million loss was due to investments. Now, Marianne Street's run round all the Labor caucus members and said, hey, look, it wasn't that bad, it was just the investment meltdown. That's not true. The truth is, and Labor members need to reflect on this, is that Marianne Street's, her period of government, of ACC, was reckless and was irresponsible. And if Labor ever proposes to put her in charge of any substantial organisation carrying taxpayer liabilities, they will, in my view, keep themselves on opposition benches because of the cost fear that ordinary New Zealanders will have if she's ever put in charge again.
I call